The alien marketplace was loud and cruel. Chains rattled, strange voices shouted, and cages full of living beings were pushed onto the wooden stage. Traders laughed as they sold lives like broken toys. One cage sat at the very end of the line, half hidden by shadows. Inside, a small alien girl sat with her knees pulled close, her skin pale, her teeth broken, her body bruised. She was silent, too weak to cry, too tired to hope. The auctioneer raised his hand, his voice booming over the crowd. Next, a cheap one. A beaten alien female, weak, no skills, no beauty, no teeth. Only 2 credits. 2 credits, that is less than a cup of water. The crowd roared with laughter. No one wants that garbage, shouted a fat merchant. She cannot even stand straight, mocked another. Better to throw her into the trash than waste food on her. The girl lowered her eyes. She had been through many cages, many owners, always beaten, always mocked, always forgotten. Now she waited for the final rejection. She thought, no one will ever want me, I am worth less than dust. But then, at the edge of the crowd, a human man stood quietly. He was not like the others, his clothes were plain, his eyes heavy with a lonely sadness. He watched her with silence while the others laughed. Something inside him stirred when he saw the small figure huddled in the cage. The auctioneer slapped the bars with a stick. 2 credits. Just 2 credits. She is nothing, but maybe someone needs cheap labor. Any offers? Anyone? No hands rose. The crowd turned away, waiting for the next prize to appear. The human man raised his hand slowly. I will take her, he said, his voice calm but strong. The marketplace froze for a moment. The laughter stopped. Even the auctioneer blinked in shock. You want that one? He asked, confused. Yes, the human answered, pulling 2 small coins from his pocket. They are real credits. The auctioneer shrugged. Fine, she is yours. Take the trash away. The crowd exploded in laughter again. Ha! The human buys broken bones. He must be mad. 2 credits wasted on a corpse. The cage opened with a rusty creak. The girl flinched, waiting for a kick or a chain, but instead, a warm hand reached out to her. The human's hand, steady and patient. She stared at it with wide eyes, confused. Come, he said softly. You are free now. Her mind could not believe it, free. No master, no whip, no command. Slowly, with trembling legs, she stepped out, her eyes never leaving the ground. The human placed a cloak over her thin shoulders, covering her bruises from the cruel stares of the crowd. Together, they walked out of the marketplace, leaving behind the laughter and the noise. But not everyone was laughing in the corner. A shadowy figure watched with narrow eyes. He whispered into a small communicator. She has been bought by a human we must follow. The masters will want to know. Outside the market, the sun was burning red, the air full of dust. The human led her to a small transport parked by the rocks. She hesitated, her heart racing. Every master she had known before had beaten her. Why would this man be different? She asked in a weak voice, Why did you buy me? The human looked at her with tired eyes. Because no one should be left alone, he said simply. I know what it feels like. She wanted to speak more, but her throat ached. For now, she only nodded and sat quietly inside the transport. As the ship lifted into the sky, she looked at him from the corner of her eyes. There was no cruelty in his face, only loneliness, but deep inside her chest, a fear still burned. She knew the chains of the past were not gone. Somebody would come, somebody always came, and in the shadows of the red marketplace, hunters prepared to follow. The $2 alien was not just a broken slave. She was something far more valuable, and the human who had chosen her was now in danger, though he did not yet know it. The transport ship shook as it moved through the dusty skies. Inside, the alien girl sat quietly, her small hands gripping the cloak the human had given her. She did not trust this strange man. No one had ever been kind to her before. In her life, kindness was always a trick, always followed by pain. So she waited, silent, ready for the whip, ready for the chain, but the whip never came. The human did not shout, did not strike, did not even look at her with cruelty. Instead, he guided the ship gently, his face calm, his eyes lost in old sadness. After a long silence, he placed a small pack of food on the table between them. Eat, he said, his voice steady. The smell of warm bread filled the air. The girl stared at it, confused. Food had always been thrown at her like scraps for an animal. Now it was placed before her like a gift. Her stomach growled, but her fear was stronger. She whispered, Is this a test? If I eat, will you beat me? The human's eyes softened. No, he said. I will never beat you. Not ever eat. You are safe, safe. The word felt heavy like a dream. She reached out with shaking fingers and took a small bite. Tears filled her eyes as the warm bread touched her tongue. It was soft, not rotten, not moldy. Real food. She ate slowly. Each bite both joy and fear, she thought. Maybe he is mad. Maybe he does not know what I am. When she finished, she whispered again, "Why are you doing this?" The human leaned back in his chair, his voice low. "Because no one should live like you lived. Not even for 2 credits. Not even for nothing." His words confused her even more. In the cages, she was told every day she was worth less than dirt. Yet here was a human who gave her food, water, and freedom to rest. That night, the human stopped the ship on a small outpost. Far from the noisy cities, he showed her a clean bed, soft sheets, and warm light. "Sleep," he said. "You are safe here." She touched the blanket with disbelief. All her life she had slept on cold floors. With chains around her wrists, she lay down slowly, waiting for pain. Waiting for the hand that would strike, but none came. The human simply turned off the lights and let her be. For the first time in years, she closed her eyes without chains. But sleep was not kind in her dreams. The whips cracked again, the crowd laughed. The cages closed around her. She woke with a scream, sweat dripping from her face. The human rushed to her side. "It is only a dream," he whispered. "You are not there anymore." She trembled, hugging herself. "They will come," she said, her voice shaking. "They will come for me. And for you too." The human looked at her with quiet eyes. "Then let them come," he said softly. "I will not give you back." His voice was simple, but strong like stone. For a moment, she almost believed him. Days passed, and slowly, the girl began to watch him more. She saw how he worked on the ship, fixing broken wires, cooking simple meals, humming old human songs. He never asked her to serve, never forced her to work. Instead, he showed her things. He taught her how to hold a tool, how to press the buttons on the ship, how to read small words on the screen. Her hands were clumsy, her eyes unsure. But each time she failed, he only smiled. "You are learning," he said. "That is enough." No one had ever spoken to her like that. Each word planted a strange seed in her heart. A seed called trust, but still the fear of her past would not die. Sometimes she stared at her reflection. Broken teeth, bruised skin, tired eyes. She thought, why did he choose me? He could have chosen anyone. Anyone better. Anyone stronger. But each time she asked, the human always gave the same answer. "Because you were alone, like me." One evening, as the stars stretched across the dark sky, she sat near the window watching. The human sat across from her, drinking a small cup of tea. She whispered, almost afraid to ask, "What is your name?" The man paused, surprised. "No one asked me that for a long time," he said. "My name is Aaron." She repeated the name softly, Aaron, tasting the sound. Then Aaron asked, "And your name?" Her body froze, fear crawling up her spine. She lowered her head and whispered, I don't know anymore. They took it from me." Aaron's eyes filled with sorrow. "Then we will find it again," he said, "or we will make a new one. You do not belong to them anymore." The word shook her heart. For the first time, she felt a tiny spark of hope. A spark that maybe, just maybe, she could be more than a slave. But outside the quiet room, the galaxy was moving. Hunters were searching, whispers spreading. The $2 alien was not forgotten. And soon, their peace would be broken. For now, she did not know it. But her past was racing to find her. The stars outside the ship were bright and endless. Aaron guided the transport through quiet space lanes, hoping distance would keep them safe. The girl, still nameless, still wrapped in his old cloak, sat by the window, staring at the dark between the stars. Her heart wanted to believe she was safe, but her bones carried memories of chains, and memories never stayed silent for long. On the 4th day, Aaron noticed something unusual. 2 ships appeared on the scanner, keeping the same speed as his. Always behind, never passing, he frowned, his fingers tapping the console. "Travelers do not follow like that," he whispered. Almost to himself, the girl turned, her body stiff with fear. "They have found me," she said, her voice trembling. Aaron looked at her sharply. "Who?" Her lips trembled before she answered. "Hunters." The next hours were heavy with silence. Aaron changed course twice, slipping through asteroid paths and dust storms, but the shadow ships followed. The girl sat in the corner, rocking slightly. whispering words in a language he did not know. When he asked, she only said, "I pray." But it never helps. Aaron placed a hand on the controls. "Steady, you are not alone now," he said. "If they want you, they must face me too." She stared at him in disbelief. No one had ever said such words for her before. By nightfall, they landed on a small mining colony. Hoping to lose the hunters in the crowd, the colony was rough, filled with dust, smoke, and tired workers. Aaron led her through narrow alleys, his eyes always scanning the shadows. She stayed close, but her steps were nervous. Every loud voice, every laugh, every door slam made her flinch. The memories of cages were still too close. Inside a small inn, Aaron paid for a room. The girl sat on the bed, her eyes wide. He placed food before her again, bread and soup. She ate quickly. But halfway she stopped. Her eyes stared at the door. Her hands shaking, Aaron followed her gaze. Shadows moved outside the thin window. Tall figures passing, whispering that night. The dream returned stronger. She saw chains again, saw the old masters pulling her back, saw whips tearing her skin. She woke with a scream, tears rolling down her face. Aaron rushed to her side, gripping her shoulders. "It is a dream," he whispered. "Look at me." "You are not there." But she pushed his hands away, crying, "You do not understand. They will never stop." "I am not worth saving." Aaron's voice grew harder. "But not cruel. You are worth saving," he said. "And I will not leave you." She covered her face, unable to believe, but somewhere inside her chest, his words burned against the cold. At dawn, the colony echoed with strange sounds. Metal boots, sharp voices, scanners buzzing. The hunters had arrived. Aaron quickly packed their things, leading her through back alleys. But the hunters spread fast, closing in. Their faces were hidden behind black helmets, their weapons glowing with red light. One of them finally blocked the path. The girl froze, her body shaking. The hunter's voice hissed through the helmet. "There you are, little one." Aaron stepped in front of her, his hand near his weapon. "She is not yours," he said. Steady but firm, the hunter tilted his head. "You do not know what you carry. Human." The girl's knees weakened, her breath came fast. The hunter's words dragged old chains back into her mind. Aaron looked over his shoulder, his voice low. "Who are they? What do they want?" She whispered, barely audible. "They want me." "Because of my blood." The hunter raised his weapon slowly. "You will come with us," he said. "Your masters wait." The girl's heart pounded, her eyes wet. She stepped back, clutching Aaron's cloak tightly. But Aaron did not move aside. His voice was sharp now, a human steel hidden behind soft eyes. "She is not property. Not anymore." The hunter laughed darkly. "Then die with her," he said. Raising the weapon in that moment, the girl cried out, "No!" A strange pulse of energy burst from her body, invisible yet heavy. The air cracked. The hunter stumbled backward, his weapon sparking for the first time. Aaron saw it, something hidden inside her, something powerful. The girl gasped. Staring at her hands, she had no idea how she had done it. The hunter growled through his broken helmet. "So it is true," he hissed. "You are the last of them." He pointed at her, ignoring Aaron. "They will pay mountains of gold for you, girl, and no human kindness will change that." Aaron grabbed her arm and pulled her into the nearest alley. "Run," he said. "Do not look back." They fled through the smoke and the chaos of the colony. But behind them the hunters followed, their voices echoing in the dust. The girl's heart was in fire, her past had found her. Her secret was no longer hidden. And the human who chose her for 2 credits was now tied to her fate. Whether he wanted or not, the galaxy would not let them go. The mining colony was burning with noise and fear. Aaron pulled the girl through twisting alleys, their steps loud against the metal floors. Behind them, hunters shouted, their boots striking like war drums. The girl's chest heaved, her heart racing, her mind still echoing with what had just happened. The pulse, the strange energy, the power that came from her hands without warning. They burst into an abandoned warehouse, hiding between rusted machines. Aaron crouched low, scanning the shadows. The girl hugged herself, whispering in terror. "I did not mean to." "I do not know how." Aaron looked at her sharply. "What did you do back there?" "What was that power?" Her lips trembled, her voice small. I should not exist." Before Aaron could speak, a voice echoed from the dark. "You are more than you know." "Little one." A hunter stepped forward, helmet cracked from her energy blast. His face half hidden, but instead of attacking, he lowered his weapon. You are the last of a bloodline once feared across the stars. The girl froze. Her breath shallow, Aaron raised his gun, keeping himself between her and the hunter. Speak, Aaron said coldly, or you do not walk out, the hunter smirked, blood dripping down his cheek. She is not just a slave. Human, she is royalty, a lost heir, born of the Shalara line, wiped out in the Great War. His words cut through the dust like blades. The girl shook her head violently. No, I am nothing. I was always nothing. But deep inside she remembered whispers from her earliest years. Words of fire and stars. Words her captors tried to beat out of her. The hunter took a step closer, his voice low. Your blood carries power, the power to destroy fleets. The power to command, that is why they want you. That is why you were beaten, hidden, sold for scraps, so no one would ever know. Aaron's grip on his weapon tightened. He looked at the girl, her eyes wide with tears, her body shaking. You are not nothing, he said, and you are not theirs. The hunter snarled. Fool, you think you can protect her? The galaxy itself will chase her. Armies will burn worlds for her. She is worth more than your life. Suddenly, more boots thundered outside, voices shouting orders. The warehouse shook as more hunters closed in. Aaron grabbed the girl's hand, pulling her toward the back. We move, he whispered. She stumbled but followed, her mind spinning. They slipped into a side tunnel, narrow and dark, pipes dripping overhead. The girl whispered, if it is true. If I am what he says, then you should leave me. I will only bring death to you. Aaron stopped. Turning to face her, his voice was sharp. Steady. Listen to me, I chose you when no one else would. I will not throw you away now, not for hunters, not for kings. Not for the galaxy. Her eyes filled with tears again. But this time not only from fear. The tunnel opened into the colony's outer yard. Ships lined up for workers to leave, alarms screamed, lights flashed red. Aaron dragged her toward their small transport. Hunters shouted behind them, blasters firing. Sparks flying from the walls, they ran up the ramp, Aaron firing back as the girl ducked inside. The ship roared to life, lifting into the dusty sky. But the hunters were not finished. 2 black ships rose after them. Faster and stronger, weapons glowing. Aaron gritted his teeth, pushing the old engines hard. The girl clutched the seat, whispering, They will not stop, never, never. Aaron's eyes were hard. Then we will stop them. Blaster fire ripped through the stars. Shaking the transport, Aaron swerved between asteroids, the girl screaming as rocks crashed around them. One shot tore through the side, smoke filling the cabin. Aaron coughed, slamming controls. We cannot outrun them, he said. We fight or we die. The girl's heart raced. Her hands burning with strange heat again. She felt the energy inside, the same that burst in the alley. Her fear fought her will, she thought. If I am truly this bloodline, then maybe I can help. She placed her hands on the console. Closing her eyes, Aaron shouted, What are you doing? But before he could stop her, light flared from her skin. The ship's systems surged, weapons glowing brighter than ever before. Outside, the hunter's ships faltered as if pushed by unseen hands. One spun out of control, smashing into an asteroid. The other wavered, engines sparking. The girl gasped, falling back, the glow fading. Aaron stared at her in shock. You did that, he whispered. She shook her head, tears streaming. I do not want this power, I only want to be free. Aaron looked at her, his voice quiet but firm. Power or not, you are still the girl I chose, not a weapon, not a prize. Just family. Her heart trembled at the word, family, something she never thought she could have. But deep in the black of space, the surviving hunter sent a signal, a message racing across the stars. She lives. The last of Shalara lives. And she is with a human. Soon the whole galaxy would know, and their quiet escape would turn into a storm. The ship floated in the dark silence after the battle. Smoke curled from broken panels, wires sparked, and the engines hummed weakly. Aaron sat at the controls, breathing hard, his hands steady despite the damage. Beside him, the girl leaned against the wall, her body trembling, her eyes still glowing faintly with the memory of the power she had released. She whispered, I did not want this, I only wanted to be forgotten. Aaron looked at her, his voice calm but heavy. You cannot be forgotten now. The galaxy knows you are alive. Her eyes filled with tears. Then leave me, you can still run. You can still be free without me. But Aaron shook his head. You are not a burden, you are family now. And I will not throw you away. The word family wrapped around her like a strange warmth, a word she had never owned, never felt, never believed could belong to her. But before she could answer, the ship's screen flickered. A transmission cut through the static, cold and sharp. An alien voice hissed, "Shalara, Air, surrender yourself or the colonies will burn. Whole cities will pay for your defiance." The girl's face went pale. She covered her mouth with shaking hands. "They will do it," she whispered. "They always do it." Aaron slammed his fist against the console, his jaw tight. "They threaten innocence because they fear you." She turned toward him, desperate. "If I go back, they might stop. They might leave the others alone." Aaron stared at her, his voice iron. "If you return, they will break you again and the galaxy will still burn. You cannot save them by chains." The days that followed were filled with silence and thought. The girl sat by the window, staring at the stars. She remembered her childhood, faint pieces before the cages, a mother's song, a fire in the sky, a name whispered, then stolen. She asked herself, "Am I a queen, a weapon, or only a broken slave with no name?" Aaron never pushed her, but he stayed close, repairing the ship, cooking small meals, humming his quiet songs. Each time she looked at him, she saw not chains, but choice. And choice was something she had never been given. One night she asked softly, "Why me? Why did you choose me when I was nothing?" Aaron sat across from her, his eyes tired but steady. "Because I saw myself in you," he said. "I too was left behind, forgotten, unwanted. I know that pain. And I will not let you live it alone." Her chest ached with strange feelings. She whispered, "Then maybe I can be more than nothing if I am with you." Aaron smiled faintly. "You already are." But the hunters did not wait. Soon their ship was tracked again, chased through broken moons and old battlefields. This time the girl did not hide in fear. She stood beside Aaron, learning how to aim, how to move, how to fight back. Each lesson was clumsy, but she tried. And Aaron never mocked. "Good," he would say. "Better each time." When the hunters came, they did not only run. Together they struck back, ambushing patrols, cutting traps, slipping through enemy nets. Whispers spread across the colonies. Some said a nameless girl with broken teeth fought hunters with her human protector. Some said the lost bloodline of Shalara lived. Others said a slave had become more dangerous than her masters. The girl began to laugh sometimes, a small sound, broken but real. She tasted new foods, learned to sleep without chains, learned to stand without bowing. Every small thing felt like a victory. Aaron treated each day as normal, as if her broken pieces were already whole. Slowly, she believed it too, but peace was never full. One evening, as they repaired the ship near a quiet colony, the screen lit again. This time the transmission showed burning cities, smoke rising, screams in the background. The enemy's voice was cold. "Return or we destroy more. We will burn the galaxy until nothing remains." The girl dropped to her knees, tears streaming. "This is my fault," she whispered. "They kill because of me." Aaron knelt beside her, his hand firm on her shoulder. "No," he said. "They kill because they fear you, because they cannot control you." Her heart battled itself. One voice screamed, "Go back, surrender, stop the blood." Another whispered, "Stay, fight. Do not let chains return." She looked at Aaron, his face lined with scars of his own lonely past. For the first time, she understood the meaning of choice fully. She was no longer property, no longer trash, no longer a number in a cage. She could choose who she wanted to be. At last she stood, her eyes steady, her voice clear. "I will not return to them, not as a slave, not as a queen. I will not bow." Aaron looked at her, pride hidden behind his quiet calm. "Then we fight together," he said. Her broken teeth showed as she smiled for the first time. "Yes," she whispered. "Together." But outside the storm grew larger. The hunters gathered fleets, the masters called for war. The galaxy prepared to crush the girl worth only 2 credits, and in that fire, she would have to prove whether her choice of family could stand against an empire. The sky above the colony turned black with fire. Hunter ships swarmed like a storm, their engines screaming, their weapons glowing red. The galaxy's hunters had come together not just for a chase but for war. At the center of it all was one small ship, carrying one broken girl and one lonely human. Aaron stood at the controls, his jaw tight, his hands steady. The girl sat beside him, her eyes wide, her breath fast. But her heart no longer chained. She whispered, "They will not stop until they have me." Aaron's voice was sharp. "Like steel, then we do not stop either." The first wave struck. Blasts tearing through the sky, shaking the ship. Aaron swerved hard. Weaving between fire, the girl clutched the seat, then forced herself to move. She placed her hands on the console, feeling that strange heat inside her once more. "Come on," she whispered to herself. "Do not fail me now." Light flared from her fingers, the ship's weapons roared stronger. Faster, sharper, Aaron fired, blasting 2 hunter ships into dust. The girl gasped, her body shaking, but she pushed harder for the first time. She was not running, she was fighting. The hunters answered with fury. Dozens of ships surrounded them, trapping them in a net of fire. Aaron gritted his teeth. "We cannot break through alone." The girl looked at him, her broken teeth showing in a grim smile. "Then we find others," she said. Across the colony skies, workers, smugglers, and outlaws watched the battle. They saw one small ship stand against a fleet. Whispers spread fast. "That is her, the slave girl. She fights them, she defies them," and something changed. Ships that had no reason to join began to rise. Weapons charging, voices calling, "Not today," one captain growled. "Not in our skies." The battle grew wild, ships of all kinds striking the hunters. Aaron's eyes widened as allies appeared from the dust. The girl's heart pounded. They were not fighting alone anymore. Her choice, her stand, had sparked others, and the hunters, who expected fear, now faced fire. Explosions lit the void. The colony shook with the clash of steel and plasma. Aaron shouted commands, his voice steady. "Left side fire now." "Push them back." The girl closed her eyes. Guiding her strange power, the ship surged, glowing with energy that bent the hunters' fire away. But the enemy was endless. For every ship destroyed, 2 more came. The hunter's leader appeared on the screen, his helmet black, his voice sharp as knives. "You cannot win, girl. You are a child playing with stars. Surrender, or watch your family die." Her chest burned. She looked at Aaron, standing strong despite smoke and blood on his face. Family. She thought of the cage, the market, the laughter of the crowd. She thought of Aaron's hand reaching for her, his words, his quiet strength. She shouted at the screen, her voice louder than fear. "I am not your slave, I am not your property, and this human is my family. You will not take that from me." The hunters laughed cruelly. "Then you die together." The final wave began. Massive ships descending, weapons the size of towers. Aaron looked at her, his eyes calm even in fire. "If this is the end, at least we end together." But the girl shook her head. "No, this is not the end, this is the beginning." She stood in the center of the ship, her hands glowing, her eyes blazing. Aaron tried to stop her. "You cannot push more. It will kill you." But she only whispered, "Better to die free than live chained." The power burst from her body like a star. Light spread across the battlefield. Bending ships, cracking engines, shattering weapons. The hunters screamed as their ships broke apart. The Allied ships were shielded, protected by her will, for one shining moment. She was not a slave, not a victim, not a broken girl. She was fire, she was storm. She was Shalara blood when the light faded. Silence filled the sky. Hunter ships drifted. Broken and burning, the colony cheered. Voices rising like thunder. Aaron caught her as she collapsed. Her body weak, her eyes closing, he whispered, "You did it. You saved them." But as he held her, the screen flickered again. The hunter leader, scarred but alive, glared with hate. "This is not over," he growled. "The masters will burn worlds to ashes for what you have done, and you, human, will die screaming for protecting her." Then the screen went dark. Aaron carried her to the bed. Covering her with the cloak, she stirred, whispering in a faint voice, "Did we win?" Aaron brushed her hair back, his voice soft. For now, but both knew the truth. This was only the first battle. The real war was coming. The Empire of Chains would not stop, and to end it they would have to fight again, stronger than ever together. The colony was quiet after the battle, but the silence was heavy. Smoke still rose from broken ships, and the people whispered in fear. They knew the hunters would return, stronger, crueler, and with the Master's armies behind them. The girl lay weak on the ship's bed, her body trembling from the power she had unleashed. Aaron sat beside her, cleaning wounds from his arms, his face set in calm determination. She opened her eyes slowly, whispering, "Did we truly win?" Aaron shook his head, his voice steady. "No, we survived. But the war is only beginning." Her heart sank. But then he added softly, "You are not alone now. We face it together." Days passed and rumors spread like fire. Across colonies and outlaw stations, people spoke of a human who stood against hunters. They spoke of a slave girl worth only 2 credits who defied an empire. Some laughed, calling it a tale, but others listened, their hearts stirring. Hope was dangerous, but hope had been born. The girl slowly grew stronger, learning to control the strange energy inside her. Erin taught her discipline, focus, and courage. She taught herself trust, laughter, and choice for the first time. She felt not like a tool, not like a cage-born creature, but like someone who belonged, but the masters did not wait. One by one, colonies fell, burned by fire and fear. The hunters spread terror, leaving messages carved in smoke. Return the girl, or more will die. The galaxy trembled, but it also whispered, maybe the girl can stop them. One night, the girl stood by the window of the ship, the stars wide and endless. Her broken teeth showed as she spoke quietly. If I fight them, I may die. If I do nothing, the galaxy will die. Erin stood behind her, his voice calm but strong. Then you already know your choice. She turned to him, her eyes bright with fire. But I do not want to lose you. Erin placed a hand on her shoulder, steady and warm. You will not lose me because I will be there always. Until the last breath, when the final signal came, it was no threat but a challenge. The masters had gathered their fleet. Black ships stretching like a wall of night, they called across the stars. Come Shalara Air, come and surrender, or see the galaxy burn forever. The girl raised her head, her voice steady. Then we come. The battle that followed was unlike any before. Fleets from colonies, smugglers, rebels, and forgotten worlds joined. They came not for gold, not for power, but because one girl had shown them courage. A slave had stood, and now others stood with her. The skies cracked with fire as ships clashed. Erin guided their vessel through storms of plasma, his eyes sharp, his hands steady. The girl stood at the center, her power flowing not with fear now but with choice. She bent the hunter's fire away, shielded allies, and struck down enemy ships with bursts of light. Her broken body screamed with pain, but her spirit did not bow. The masters themselves appeared on the great screen. Cold faces, crowns of steel, eyes sharp as knives. You are nothing, they sneered. A slave dressed as a queen. You cannot defy us, but the girl raised her head, her voice stronger than ever. I was nothing. Yes, beaten, sold, mocked. But I was chosen by someone who saw me as family. And that makes me more than you will ever be. Erin fired as she spoke. Tearing through enemy lines, the allied fleets roared. Inspired, the hunters faltered, their fear showing, and in one final burst, the girl unleashed everything. Her power spread like a star exploding, burning through the chains of the empire. Their ships shattered, their voices silenced, their rule broken. When the light faded, silence filled the sky again. This time it was not fear, but awe. The slave girl worth only 2 credits had destroyed an empire. The colonies cheered, their voices rising like thunder. Freedom had been born. Erin found her collapsed. Weak, her body trembling, he held her close, whispering, You did it, you changed everything. She opened her eyes, tears falling, her broken smile shining. No, she whispered, we did it. Family did it. From that day the galaxy told the story, not of kings or hunters, not of masters or chains, but of a lonely human who chose a broken alien girl, and of how that choice turned weakness into fire, of how 2 lost souls became family and how family changed the stars.